UNC Wilmington played a really good game tonight, gave us a lot of difficulties, particularly with their pressure defense. And I think we only had 8 assists on the night, and it's something that we had really been focusing on recently, being able to share the basketball and have a high field goal assist ratio in terms of that percentage. And, they took us out of it, and a lot of credit to them. And Jazarian White was phenomenal. He was a difference in the game, and I think they have a really good basketball team, and the results showed it.
All right, questions?
Coach, they seem to really emphasize taking the 3 away from you guys offensively. What adjustments did you have to make as a result of that? And do you think that affected you guys?
I mean, I think any time that you go over 6, from the 3-point line in the first half, and I think we were 2 for 14. I think that was the number. And, they did a good job. And the way they play defense is, they're really good guarding the basketball one-on-one. Again, they take away the passing lanes. They take away a lot of ability to create kick-out threes, and they do a good job with that. So, that affected us, obviously, but anytime, I don't think all 14 of our shots were poor shots. I mean, I think you still got to step up, and hopefully if you make a couple, it doesn't mean you're going to shoot 50%, but if you can throw 2 or 3 more in, does that change the flow of the game? I don't know, but I know the big thing is that anytime you play a team with this aggressive defense, you have to be able to get to the rim as best as you can, and you have to capitalize on when you're fouled. And we went through a real stretch in the first half and the second half, not being able to make free throws and not making shots at the rim. And you give them credit; they do a great job. I mean, I tell you, some of the blocks that they had and plays at the rim were really good basketball plays. But we have to capitalize on free throws and shots at the rim to give ourselves a chance to keep it within a possession game, as opposed to letting it stretch out.
The free throw shooting, do you feel like it becomes mental after 4 or 5 misses to start the game?
It's hard for me, I expect them to make them all, but, it's hard to say. It probably becomes mental when they hear that crowd and this great atmosphere in here, so that might help too. That probably hurts them on it.
With the way you talk about their defense, and do you see any maybe similarities of just the way that you want to maybe reach in the future, kind of reach that level?
I think Coach Steele does a great job, and I think the way they defend is a great style of defense, and I think it works for them. And I think we have some subtle differences, and but I do think there's some similarities in the style of play. I don't think right now we're not built to be able to deny all over the floor like they do. I think that's just, I think they do a fantastic job with that. And I think there's moments we've had this season where we've been able to be more aggressive and create some offense with our defense, which you and I have spoken a lot about. But tonight wasn't one of those nights. But again, we have to be able to make free throws. You have to be able to capitalize when you're at the free throw line. And if you can do that and you can keep the game even a little bit closer, that middle stretch, the 10-minute mark of the first half through the middle of the second half, it really got away with us, and we didn't help ourselves in that way either. But their defense was really good.
Maybe during that stretch too, how much did, I think Jaden and Ezra got in foul trouble early, how much did that kind of affect what you guys wanted to do?
There's no doubt about it that the foul trouble in the first half affected us, because I really did not want to pull Ezra out of the game. We liked what Ezra did to start the game. I think he was someone that we could continue to hopefully get the ball inside with, and when he went out, he missed a lot of the first half with 2 fouls. And same with Jaden Walker. Those were 2 guys that really at the rim and defensively, they were well suited to give us a chance to compete. And those 2 guys going out in the first half the way they did, and with the amount of time that they missed, once you get to the second half, you're going to play guys with 3-4 fouls. But I really, in terms of being in foul trouble, the latter half of the first half is where we really got in trouble. It's where the game kind of, got away from us.
Is it tough to play kind of that in-your-face defense when they're calling fouls? And obviously they were calling them both ways, a ton of fouls, but I guess how tough is it to emphasize that style of defense when they're kind of calling it tight?
Yeah, I think you just, I think that you can't even think about that portion of the game. You have to play your style of defense, whatever it is that your team is trying to adopt and whatever you're trying to be successful at, and you got to try and be really good. There's teams that pack it in that get fouls called on them. There's teams that pressure that don't get as many fouls. It's the ebb and flow of the game. They had great energy tonight. The crowd was great. Their players were, they were really, they executed. They executed defensively. I thought they did a good job offensively. They got the ball inside. And again, I think about White and how good he was. They shot 14 free throws in the first half alone. I'm not sure I've been in a game where one player shot 14 free throws in one half. And I give him all the credit. He had 10 rebounds in one half. He was dominant. He was the difference that we had no answer.
Coach, going down by 23 and then able to get your guys at least fight to the final. So how important is it to have a group of guys that'll buy in and fight for you until the game ends?
Yeah, I think that the big thing is us to find a group of guys that hopefully understand that that's got to be the standard of intensity. That doesn't mean the execution's going to be perfect. It doesn't mean that the score is going to go in our favor. But in terms of the standard of intensity on offense, the standard of intensity on defense, the standard of intensity, most importantly, competing, we have to find a core group of guys. And, you know, we've been there in moments this year, win or lose. But what you just said, you hit it on the head, that at some point we got to get to where our guys understand that standard of intensity across the board is what we expect for 40 minutes. And the guys that want to buy into that are the guys that can, you know, hopefully help us build a strong program.
All right, time for one more.
Hey, Coach, how do you game plan for a team like UNCW that White goes out and just finds the ball, but all the rest of it, you don't have anybody that kind of jumps off the page, you know, but all of those guys, you know, scored points. How do you decide where I'm going to go and where I can maybe hide somebody and
I don't, you know what, at this level, college basketball and playing a team like UNC Wilmington, you know, you're not going to be able to hide anybody. And sometimes when you say nobody jumps off the page, I would tell you I think they all jump off the page. That's when we look at it. So from that standpoint, we knew, you know, the numbers don't always tell in terms of looking down the stat sheet, you know, who is capable. I mean, film tells it as you watch and watch and watch. And we knew very well what Trezarian was capable of doing. We know what Shaquem Phillips is capable of doing. I mean, you could go down the list with their players. I mean, they got a really good team. And, of course, they make it challenging to prepare for because they got 5 guys that can play all over the court a lot of time. They got guys that can play in the mid-range. They got guys that can play in the post. And they got guys that can shoot the ball. And then they have some dynamic drivers off the bounce. So, yeah, it puts a challenge on you, and you have to try and, you know, your preparation gets you prepared, but you have to see if you're ready once, you know, the game starts. And tonight I thought we started off pretty well, and I thought it got away from us in the middle portion of the game, and we could never really get back.
All right,